A baby cries for its mother, held captive by a monstrous hand. The mother watches in horror as a hulking blue monster holds her child. The creature stands amidst fallen officers, a terrifying sight under the full moon. With glowing red eyes, it lifts the helpless infant higher. The monster prepares to strike, ignoring the mother's desperate pleas. A sudden shocking impact is heard across the street. The crowd freezes, their faces masks of pure shock and disbelief. But someone rushes in, skidding to a sudden stop. A mysterious man in casual clothes now stands before the beast. The monster's arm, still holding the child, is sent flying. His expression is calm, hidden behind a simple mask and cap. The creature's severed limb thuds onto the pavement. Stunned, the monster stares at its missing arm. Its shock quickly turns into a burning crimson rage. Unfazed, the hero flicks the blood from his hand. The enraged beast charges, tossing the baby into the air. The mother screams in terror, reaching for her falling child. In a flash, she catches her baby, holding him tight. Now the man stands alone against the fully unleashed monster. It smashes the ground with incredible force, shattering the concrete. He effortlessly sidesteps the devastating blow. A grimace of determination crosses his face. He counters with a powerful punch to the creature's torso. The impact sends the massive beast flying into a nearby wall, leaving a gaping hole where it crashed. He doesn't let up, launching the monster back into the air. The creature opens its massive jaws, ready to devour him. But the hero meets it with a devastating uppercut. A final kick sends the defeated monster soaring into the night sky. Silhouetted against the moon, the threat is finally neutralized. His expression is cold, his fist clenched tight. A memory flashes of a punch against a crimson foe. He was once overwhelmed by a flurry of sharp attacks. But even then, he pushed back with all his might. The memory ends with the creature's cry of defeat. He recalls standing victorious over that fallen beast. Back in the present, he stands over the monster he just defeated. The creature's eye is lifeless, while his remains calm. The crowd stares in absolute stunned silence. Their faces are a mixture of awe and disbelief. He casually wipes his hand clean on his shorts. Then a single person begins to clap. Soon the applause spreads through the onlookers. His gaze remains unchanged by their praise. The crowd erupts in cheers, hailing their new hero. He turns his back on them, ready to leave. But the mother he saved calls out to him. He pauses, glancing back over his shoulder. She tearfully thanks him, asking how she can ever repay him. Without a word, he turns away from her gratitude. In a single bound, he launches himself from the ground. The onlookers watch as he soars into the moonlit sky. A man in the crowd finally names the legend the Overman. The Overman flies between the city's towering skyscrapers. With a determined look, he speeds into the night. The scene shifts to a quiet high school the next day. Inside a classroom, a teacher begins a new lesson. He writes the topic on the board: natural disasters. The term refers to catastrophic events of nature, but it also describes unstoppable forces beyond human control. The teacher uses the current monster crisis as a perfect example. But in the back, two students are completely distracted by a phone. One shows his friend a video of the white-cap superhuman in action. It's a rare, high-quality clip of the hero's past battle. They watch in awe as the hero lands a devastating blow. The comment section is a flurry of fear and debate. Another student turns, wanting to see the viral clip for himself. The teacher finally notices the disruption in the back of the class. But before he can scold them, a loud siren echoes through the school. The school's emergency broadcast system suddenly activates. A disaster alert flashes and the teacher's face pales. The students who were watching the video are now frozen in shock. Across the room, everyone is startled by the sudden warning. Even a sleeping student is jolted awake by the blaring alarm. It's an official alert from the Inhuman's alert system. The students immediately start packing, excited that school is canceled. The announcement warns of an Inhuman spotted near Incheon Port. The teacher slams his book down, demanding order. He urges them all to evacuate calmly and go straight home. One student panics, realizing his home is near the danger zone. A girl watches the chaos, a worried thought crossing her mind. She realizes these attacks are becoming more and more frequent. A memory surfaces of a past Inhuman who caused immense destruction. As students rush out, she notices one person hasn't moved. The boy from before is still asleep at his desk, oblivious. She hesitates, then calls out to the sleeping student. Just then, his phone vibrates, finally waking him. He groggily looks at the screen, seeing a call from Ju-ri. He answers the call, his demeanor still sleepy. But his eyes snap open with focus as he's given a location: Incheon Port. The girl is startled as he suddenly turns to face her. He looks at her blankly, asking what she wants. She explains there's an alert and that he needs to go home. Their eyes meet for a brief, questioning moment. He dismisses her with a loud yawn, leaving her completely baffled. She walks away, thinking his carefree attitude is a death wish. But once she's gone, his sleepy expression turns deadly serious. He reaches down and grabs his gym bag from beside his desk. Inside, his hero gear is packed and ready for action. He cautiously scans the empty classroom one last time. Then he slips out the door, trying to remain unseen. The scene shifts to Incheon Port, where a monster has appeared. A furious truck driver slams his vehicle into gear. He floors the accelerator, charging straight at the creature. The massive truck barrels towards the blue Inhuman. With a desperate roar, the driver braces for impact. The truck collides with the monster but is stopped dead in its tracks. The massive vehicle is sent flying backward from the force. It crashes into a heap as the creature stands completely unharmed. The driver stares in disbelief at the unfazed monster. The creature raises its powerful fist over the wrecked truck. It brings its arm down, obliterating the vehicle's cabin. The force of the blow sends debris flying through the air. The driver, who escaped just in time, watches in absolute terror. Hiding nearby, one worker panics while his friend tries to silence him. He insists they just need to hide and wait for the military to arrive. But their hiding spot is discovered as the monster looms over them. Back at the school, Juri asks the hero for his location. He replies from the bathroom saying the situation is critical. Now in his hero outfit, he confirms he's leaving and has his earpiece in. Juri gives him the coordinates, an 11-minute run from the school. Perched on the window ledge, he confirms he's ready to go. With a determined look, he announces his departure. He leaps from the building, soaring into the sky. Back at the port, the two workers are cornered by the hulking beast. One of them sweats profusely, realizing they're trapped. His friend bravely tries to fight back, but is instantly overwhelmed. A powerful blow sends the man crashing into a metal container. He slumps to the ground, defeated and motionless. The monster now turns its cold gaze to the remaining worker. It brings its massive hand down with crushing force. The second man is left slumped against the wall, badly injured. The creature spots another worker attempting to escape. In a single bound, it launches itself after the fleeing man. It lands with a deafening crash, blocking his path. The terrified man pleads for his life as the monster grabs him, but the creature mercilessly throws him aside. He smashes into the side of a shipping container. He collapses to the ground, groaning in pain. The impact leaves him struggling to breathe. He looks up, his face a mask of pure terror. His eyes widen as he stares at the approaching doom. The monster's shadow falls over him, its presence overwhelming. He finally understands the true horror of an inhuman. In his mind, he accepts his fate. I'm going to die. But a wrench suddenly flies through the air with a shout to stop. It bounces harmlessly off the creature's thick hide. The monster pauses, its eye twitching with irritation. It turns to see the defiant worker from before, calling out to his boss. The man stands his ground, shouting insults at the beast. Meanwhile, the overman races towards the danger zone. Juri guides him through his earpiece, tracking his incredible speed. He moves like a blur, a streak of red and white through the city. She informs him that the official task force is also on its way, but she warns him to be careful as the monster's power is unknown. He leaps through the air, his destination finally in sight. The scene cuts back to the desperate situation at the port. The injured worker screams for his boss to get up and run. He stands defiantly, trying to create a diversion for his friend. The boss realizes his friend is sacrificing himself to save him. The creature's cold red eye locks onto its new target. The man grips his wrench, knowing he couldn't just run away. Thinking of his family, he prepares for the inevitable end. He is completely overshadowed by the monster's terrifying presence. But the creature's eyes suddenly widen in surprise. It turns away, leaving the injured boss confused on the ground. The defiant worker is just as baffled by the monster's actions. He watches it walk away, hoping it will simply leave. But his hope is shattered as it punches a shipping container. Its powerful hand easily crumples the thick steel wall. With incredible strength, it rips the entire container from the stack. The monster winds up, preparing to throw the massive object. The worker watches in horror as the container flies towards him. He freezes, realizing he's about to be crushed. Suddenly, a figure appears in a flash of red and white. The overman prepares to intercept the deadly projectile. The worker looks up, unable to believe his eyes. A single punch shatters the massive container into pieces. The worker's mind struggles to comprehend the impossible sight. He stands frozen in shock as debris rains down around him. He lands with a ground-shattering skid, shielding the stunned worker. With a focused gaze, the hero rushes towards the new threat. The workers can only stare, speechless at their sudden rescue. The blue creature looks on, surprised by this unexpected interruption. The overman scolds the beast, telling it not to throw dangerous things. Through his earpiece, Ju-ri asks if he's nervous, but he seems distracted. The monster's eyes suddenly glow a menacing crimson. He asks Ju-ri if he should try to communicate with it. A small camera on his mask activates, recording the encounter. Back in her base, Ju-ri agrees it's a slim chance, but worth taking. She remembers some important advice she once received. A flashback reveals a lesson. Always try to talk to them first. Because if one can speak, they might learn the Inhuman's secrets. Following her advice, the hero calls out, asking if the creature can talk. He calmly explains that he's met others of its kind before. The monster only responds with a series of guttural, inhuman sounds. Its body begins to glow, transforming into a terrifying red form. The creature's mouth splits open, revealing a maw of razor-sharp teeth. Its feet crack the concrete as it digs in, unleashing its full power. Now a hulking red beast, it looms over the lone hero. It lunges with blinding speed, smashing the ground where he just stood. The overman watches, a bead of sweat trickling down his face. The monster's eye glints, locking onto its target with deadly intent. He leaps into the air, narrowly dodging the creature's powerful charge. His counterkick is blocked by the monster's incredibly durable arm. He puts on his sunglasses, his expression turning cold and serious. The impact sends a shockwave, but the hero is pushed back. The monster winds up its massive arm for a devastating blow. He reports to Ju-ri that talking failed as she urges him to be careful. Just then, a military helicopter arrives, circling the chaotic scene. A news crew reports live from a helicopter hovering over the port. The reporter announces they are broadcasting from a safe distance in the air. She excitedly confirms the white-cap superhuman is on the scene. The Inhuman Subjugation Special Task Force has also arrived. Military vehicles and soldiers establish a perimeter around the port. A commander orders his troops to hold their fire and stay on standby. A soldier notes their heavy artillery can't reach the narrow battleground. The commander tells his subordinate he doesn't grasp the true threat. He explains that their weapons are useless against an Inhuman. Intelligence reports confirm the hero's power far exceeds their own. The commander grimly states the monster is just as powerful. He concludes that if the superhuman falls, they are powerless to stop it. The soldier questions their purpose, his face filled with dread. The commander reveals they have a backup plan, gesturing to a truck. Inside, a muscular man with a prosthetic arm waits as their plan B. The overman glances up at the news helicopter circling overhead. The entire city watches the battle unfold on a massive public screen. The broadcast shows the hero clashing fiercely with the red beast. The girl from his class watches with worry as the reporter hails him a hero for humanity. But others watching the broadcast think the hero is losing the fight. The overman is pushed back by the monster's overwhelming power. He notes the creature's surprising speed as he dodges, but the monster lands a heavy blow, catching him off guard. The impact sends the hero flying into a shipping container. He tumbles down the side of the container wall. The hero falls from a great height, hurtling towards the ground. He lands hard, creating a small crater on the pavement. The red monster looks down, its strange face unreadable. It suddenly launches a high-pressure stream from its mouth. The hero twists his body, narrowly avoiding the dangerous attack. A strange appendage shoots from the monster, catching the hero mid-air. The creature grabs him by the foot, stopping his attack cold. It swings him around like a rag doll, ready to strike. With glowing red eyes, the hero braces for the inevitable impact. The monster smashes him into the ground again and again. He is finally thrown, crashing through a distant shipping container. Ju-ri screams his name in horror as the monster watches the destruction. A soldier reports in panic that the white cap has been taken down, but the commander refuses to believe the hero could lose so easily. He declares their mission is to provide support without interfering. The commander shouts the signal to deploy their backup plan. The back of a military truck suddenly bursts open. The man with the prosthetic arm lands expertly on top of the vehicle. He leaps into the air, assembling a massive weapon. His prosthetic arm clicks into place on a high-caliber rifle. With intense focus, he takes aim at the distant monster. He fires a single powerful shot from his position. A glowing projectile streaks across the battlefield. The creature turns its head, sensing the incoming danger. The shot lands a direct hit, creating a massive impact. The monster is sent flying backward from the incredible force. The commander stares in disbelief, realizing it was a perfect headshot. The creature crashes to the ground, shattering the pavement beneath it. The sniper's eye glows red as the commander watches in shock. But the monster pushes itself back up, its body glowing ominously. The damage on its head begins to rapidly mend itself. The commander shouts a warning as the creature prepares to charge. The sniper calmly ejects the spent shell and reloads. He fires a second round at the approaching beast. The shot hits its mark, but the monster plows forward, completely unfazed. He expertly reloads, his prosthetic arm a blur of motion. Another shot rings out, the recoil kicking back hard. The bullet strikes true, but the beast doesn't even flinch. He unleashes a rapid volley of powerful rounds. The creature shrugs off the impacts, its charge unstoppable. Steam pours from its body as it closes the distance. The sniper prepares one final desperate shot. With grim determination, he lines up his target. His cybernetic eye locks onto the monster's weak point. But he suddenly lowers his weapon, a look of surprise on his face. The monster pauses, its regeneration already healing the wounds. It looks around, confused by the sudden silence. The creature turns its attention back to the damaged container. From the darkness of the hole, a sound is heard. A hand suddenly grips the torn metal edge. The hero emerges, relieved he wasn't thrown into the sea. Back at base, Juri lets out a heavy sigh of relief. She concludes that this monster is another one that won't communicate. The Overman agrees, his patience clearly wearing thin. He decides there's only one option left, end it now. The monster senses his renewed fighting spirit. With a determined gaze, the hero prepares to unleash his full power. He dashes forward, closing the gap in an instant. Leaping high, he twists his body for a powerful attack. The monster watches the blur of motion approach. Its eye widens, unable to track the hero's speed. A devastating kick connects with the side of its head. The force of the blow sends the creature reeling. Before it can recover, the hero is already moving again. He follows up with a punch that sends a massive shockwave. The hero's punch sends the creature spinning through the air. He stomps the ground, shattering the concrete beneath his feet. Another blow sends the massive beast hurtling downwards. His fist connects with the creature's head with incredible force. With a furious grimace, he unleashes his full power. The monster is slammed into the ground with a deafening crash. A massive shockwave radiates from the point of impact. The blast is so strong it sends the military helicopter tumbling. Debris is thrown high into the sky from the sheer force. The defeated creature falls into the newly formed crater. He stands over his fallen foe, flicking the dust from his hand. His gaze is cold and unwavering as the dust settles. The girl from his class watches the broadcast, completely stunned. Across the city, people are frozen in disbelief. Even the soldiers on the ground are speechless. The news crew can only stare, their report forgotten. An online viewer is left gaping at his screen. The sniper's cybernetic eye widens in shock. The reporter struggles to explain the earthquake-like tremors. She gasps, trying to comprehend what she just witnessed. But the hero's expression suddenly changes, sensing something is wrong. The monster lies motionless in the rubble. Its limbs begin to twitch, refusing to stay down. A low groan escapes its mangled form. The hero and his contact share a look of disbelief. The creature lets out a final guttural growl. It finally collapses, its body going limp in the crater. The hero watches carefully, ensuring the threat is truly gone. Back at the base, his contact asks nervously if it's finally over. The Overman confirms the kill, stating he felt the final blow land. He confidently states that if the monster gets up, he'll just defeat it again. He notes this creature was weaker than a previous foe from Anmian Island. His contact recalls that past battle, remembering the hero had a difficult time. High above, a mysterious man laughs, enjoying the live spectacle. He crouches on a crane, remarking on the hero's ruthless reputation. His hooded companion silently listens as he questions the hero's true strength. The companion is revealed to be a woman named Dan Yang. She suddenly leaps from the crane, announcing she'll be right back. The hero is startled as the man appears behind him in a flash. He turns his head, surprised by the stranger's sudden arrival. The man's long braided hair whips through the air as he lands. Through the earpiece, Juri panics, asking who this new person is. The hero confronts the stranger, demanding to know who he is. The mysterious man simply laughs in response to the question. He smirks, finally addressing the hero as the white-capped superhuman. The stranger takes a confident step forward, his presence unsettling. The hero spots the second figure still perched high on the crane. He remains silent, carefully assessing the new threat. His expression is grim, his focus unwavering. He reports to Juri that there's another one of them up high. Dan Yang watches from above, her face partially hidden in shadow. The news reporter's voice trembles, announcing a strange turn of events. She informs the viewers that a mysterious man has appeared on the scene. The stranger glances up at the news helicopter, aware of the broadcast. The girl from his class watches the screen, her face filled with confusion. Elsewhere, a man watching the broadcast wonders if they're about to fight. The sniper's team is equally baffled by the unexpected arrival. The military commander and his subordinates stare, unable to comprehend the situation. He orders his men to stay on guard, admitting there's nothing they can do. The sniper remains silent, his gaze fixed on the unfolding scene. The stranger smirks, calling it a shame the fight ended so suddenly. He compares the hero's flashy style to a famous TV character, Ketchup Man. The hero is stunned, recalling the muscular TV hero from his childhood. Flustered, he denies the comparison, secretly flattered by the compliment. Back at base, Juri panics, realizing the hero is weak to praise. The hero snaps out of it, demanding to know where the stranger came from. But Juri knows this new arrival is not to be trusted. The stranger laughs, mocking the hero's lack of a sense of crisis. He reveals he's been keeping a close eye on the hero for a long time. Through TV broadcasts and social media, he's tracked his every move. He's seen every stream and clip of the hero in action. Whenever an Inhuman alert sounded, the hero always appeared, no matter the danger. But the stranger clarifies his real purpose for being there. He states that watching the fight was just a bonus. He's not there for the hero. The overman is skeptical, asking why he should believe him. The stranger falls silent, his expression unreadable in the shadows. Juri warns him, reminding him of a past ambush by men in suits. They acted friendly before suddenly attacking him without warning. She warns that this man could be a government agent or part of the military. The stranger senses the hero's distrust and decides to share something interesting. He asks what the world calls people like him. The hero quietly answers, superhuman. The stranger grins, revealing that he is also a superhuman. He adds that there are many more than just the two of them. A chilling image shows a group of shadowy figures with glowing red eyes. The hero's eye widens in shock at this revelation. Juri tries to process the information, recalling other known superhumans. But until now, she believed Korea only had one unofficial superhuman, Kang. The scene shifts to a moonlit city in the United States. In a control room, a man watches the broadcast, calling the stranger a weirdo. He tells his companion, Pearl, that he recognizes the man with the braids. She asks if he means Whitecap, but he clarifies it's the other guy. Pearl wants to eavesdrop, but their tech can't pick up the conversation. The scene shifts to a fast food restaurant in Scotland. Inside, a woman is glued to the TV broadcast of the fight. Her friend interrupts, reminding her about a concert they have tickets for. Overjoyed by the news, she eagerly agrees to leave immediately. The story then jumps to a grand building in Moscow. A man named Mr. Bashilov watches the same broadcast with his subordinate. He's never seen the stranger before, but senses he's also a superhuman. But he dismisses it, clenching his fist in anger at the man's unpleasant face. Back at the port, the hero asks the stranger what his point is. He tells the man to stop following him, regardless of his powers. The overman turns to leave, ignoring the stranger's presence. But as he walks away, his stomach rumbles loudly with hunger. The stranger smirks, threatening to find him at his school to finish their talk. The hero freezes in place, his back still turned. He slowly turns around, a single tear of shock rolling down his cheek. The stranger asks if he isn't just a student without his mask. The hero's mind flashes with images of his classmates. He stands completely stunned, his secret identity exposed. Back at base, Juri is equally shocked, wondering how he could possibly know. The stranger laughs, promising to keep the hero's identity a secret. He then tells the hero to pass the message to the pink-haired guy in his ear. The hero realizes this man knows everything, even about his hidden support. The stranger reveals that the pink-haired contact is no ordinary person. A flashback shows Juri meticulously sewing the hero's mask. Another memory shows him welding and working on complex equipment. The stranger calls him a genius, admitting he was tempted to capture him. Juri panics, wondering just how much this stranger knows. The stranger laughs, amused by the hero's shocked expression. He notes the hero's atmosphere has completely changed. The hero digs his foot into the ground, preparing to fight. He cracks his knuckles, confirming the stranger's superhuman status. Juri screams into the earpiece, telling him not to fight this opponent. The hero declares that Juri is his only family. He vows to make sure the stranger can never get close to him again. The stranger and his companion exchange a silent, knowing glance. He seems surprised by the hero's sudden burst of anger. The man tries to de-escalate, insisting he's not an enemy, but the hero doesn't care, his mind set on a confrontation. The stranger accepts his choice, deciding they'll have to fight. In a flash, the hero launches a powerful kick. Juri shouts in alarm as the battle suddenly begins. The military commander watches in disbelief as the two superhumans clash. The hero leaps into the air, throwing a powerful punch, but the stranger raises his hands ready to block the attack. He effortlessly catches the hero's fist, stopping the blow cold. The hero's eyes widen in absolute shock. His powerful punch is stopped by the stranger's open palm. Juri is horrified, realizing the hero's attack was completely neutralized. The hero stares, stunned by his opponent's incredible strength. He quickly throws another punch with his free hand, but the stranger dodges and the attack hits nothing but air. The hero is stunned to find his opponent has vanished. The stranger reappears, mocking the hero for holding back. He points out that the hero pulled his punches despite his threats. The hero's fist trembles from the force of the blocked attack. The stranger lands gracefully, completely unfazed by the exchange. The stranger scoffs, calling the hero a fool for showing mercy in a fight. He reminds the hero that he is also a superhuman. He challenges the hero to come at him with everything or risk his life. The hero is visibly stunned by the stranger's deadly intent. The man warns that if they fight, the entire port will be blown to smithereens. His expression turns grim, stating they won't stop until everything is destroyed. The hero listens silently, the wind whipping past him. Through the earpiece, Juri begs him to calm down, seeing no reason to fight. The hero admits he's unsettled that these strangers know their identities. Juri insists that he must not fight this opponent right now. She warns that he's never faced another superhuman before and must retreat. The stranger seems to sense the hero's change of heart. He laughs, realizing the hero has lost his will to fight. Turning to leave, he promises they will meet and talk again soon. But the hero calls out, stopping him in his tracks. He demands the stranger's name, refusing to let him go otherwise. The man gives a slight knowing smirk. He reveals his name as Nangi before leaping away. His companion, Dan Yang, lands beside him with a soft thud. Nangi says they're done, but Dan Yang wants to see his arms. He closes his eyes with a sly, knowing smile. A flashback shows the moment Nangi blocked the hero's powerful punch. Nangi's arm glows, still feeling the force of the hero's attack. He laughs, admitting the hero's strength is not bad at all. The hero watches as the two figures disappear into the distance. Juri confirms through the earpiece that they have finally left. The overman stands alone amidst the wreckage, the wind swirling around him. Elsewhere, the sniper's team is disappointed the fight ended so anticlimactically. In Moscow, Mr. Bashilov's subordinate is furious that the battle is over after all their waiting. But Mr. Bashilov reasons they backed off to prevent the area's total destruction. Back at the port, the hero is about to leave when two workers call out to him. He turns to see the men he saved, one supporting the other as they approach. They waited to thank him, grateful that he saved their lives. The hero's eye remains unreadable, hidden behind his simple mask. A memory flashes of him saving one of the men from a crushing blow. He recalls shielding the other from the exploding shipping container. One worker offers to treat him to a meal, much to his friend's embarrassment. Without a word, the hero turns his back on their gratitude. He stomps the ground, shattering the pavement as he prepares to leave. In a single bound, he launches himself into the sky. The military commander watches him go, announcing that Whitecap is leaving. He orders the corpse recovery team to move in and secure the scene. The sniper warns his captain that their current weapons are useless. He holds up a special round, explaining it's barely an improvement. Clenching his prosthetic fist, he calls the high-tech rifle a mere toy. The commander agrees to pass his feedback to the research division. The sniper drops the spent shells, his point made. Suddenly, the commander's phone begins to ring. He pulls it from his pocket, his expression annoyed by the interruption. He answers the call, his face tense as he listens. He reports to his superior that the superhuman has left and the inhuman is neutralized. On the other end, Commander Baek Oh-jin scolds him for the delayed report. Baek stresses that the most important task is the safe transport of the creature's body. He confirms all other agencies have been handled, so they just need to load the corpse. The recovery team works quickly, loading the massive blue creature onto a transport vehicle. Baek states their mission will be over as soon as the task force retreats. The transport ramp closes as the captain hangs up the phone. He ends the call, a vein throbbing on his forehead in frustration. In a dark office, a man in a suit stands before a shadowy, imposing figure. A phone rings in a dimly lit office and a man in uniform answers. He asks the caller if the matter is urgent. The man on the other end begins to report on the recent Inhuman crisis. He starts to list the number of casualties but is quickly interrupted. The superior dismisses the details, demanding only a summary. He's told the transport vehicle is leaving for Falcon Area 1 soon. An aide reminds him it's time for his speech and he rushes to end the call. The caller tries to give a final warning, but the man has already hung up. He complains about the useless report and his disdain for the public. Clearing his throat, he prepares to face the crowd. He walks onto a stage as the crowd chants his name, Marcus. Waving with a smile, he's hailed as the hope for a new generation. The announcer introduces him to the adoring audience as Marcus Gerald. Back at the port, the transport vehicle's ramp closes, securing the Inhuman's body. The ground crew gives the signal for all units to back up. The strange craft takes off, leaving the soldiers watching in awe. A soldier asks his captain about the mysterious transport vehicle. The captain coldly replies that it's none of their concern. High above, a mysterious woman watches the vehicle depart. She confirms its destination is, as expected, a place called Falcon. The scene shifts to a different hero, Ketchup Man, confronting a villain. He holds the man tight, asking him a final question. He demands to know the location of a villain named Sherlock. The captive struggles, trying to explain he can't speak while being held. Ketchup Man misinterprets his struggles as defiance. The villain desperately tries to cooperate, but it's too late. With a powerful throw, he sends the man hurtling towards the city below. The impact creates a massive explosion against a skyscraper. The villain lies defeated amidst the rubble and smoke. The hero flies off, his expression grim and unyielding. He unleashes his signature move, the Ketchup Smash. The powerful blow connects with devastating force. His opponent is slammed into the ground, pleading for mercy. Ketchup Man looks down, completely unfazed by the villain's defeat. He scolds the man, revealing that was only a fraction of his true power. With a stern warning for Sherlock, he declares himself the protector of Earth. The crowd goes wild, cheering for their beloved hero. A news reporter covers the victory, but Ketchup Man changes his mind in the background. She excitedly proclaims that Ketchup Man is the hope of the entire world. He stands tall, hailed as the hero of the modern age. His signature glove sparkles in the sunlight. The people chant his name as he strikes a triumphant pose. But the entire scene is revealed to be a TV show with rolling credits. The show's catchy theme song plays from a television set. The overman Kang watches the finale, sad that he has to wait another week. His friend Juri is suddenly woken from his sleep. Juri asks how he has so much energy, but Kang insists he couldn't miss the premiere. As Kang starts to spoil the episode, Juri quickly tries to shut him up. Kang lies back down, still blushing over Nangi's comparison. He suddenly remembers something important, realizing school isn't canceled. Juri explains that since the Inhuman was defeated, classes are back to normal. In a panic, Kang rushes to get ready, leaving a trail of clothes behind him. The scene shifts to the streets of Incheon on the way to school. Kang overhears two students arguing about the previous night's battle. One insists Whitecap wasn't defeated, demonstrating the blocked punch. His friend argues the hero was clearly at a disadvantage, but the other remains a loyal fan. The argument escalates as one questions the other's right to judge the hero. He tells his friend not to disrespect Whitecap as Kang walks past them. The student passionately declares that Whitecap is a true hero, but another classmate interrupts, spreading a rumor that the hero is a military cyborg. His friend mocks him, calling him a superfan who can't even fight. The argument heats up as one of them prepares to throw a punch, but his fist is stopped mid-air by an intimidating stranger. The massive man threatens them, and they immediately apologize in terror. One student recognizes him with a gasp, the infamous Choi Tae-ik. Tae-ik complains that the student's punch ruined his morning. He pauses, a strange look of confusion on his face. The students stand frozen as Tae-ik stares them down. He then turns his menacing gaze on Kang, who was just walking by. Kang gives him a blank stare, which only angers the bully more. Realizing his mistake, Kang quickly apologizes. Tae-ik grabs Kang's hair, delivering a final chilling threat. He walks away, leaving the students shaken by the encounter. The two friends tremble, wondering who that dangerous person was. One of them explains he's part of the notorious Gundu gang. The gang was formed at a local middle school by a ruthless leader. They are known for their strength and have a fearsome reputation in Incheon. He reveals that Tae-ik is their second in command, and the gang now rules their new high school. The student despairs, realizing their school life is about to become a nightmare. His friend sighs, pointing out that even Kang got into trouble just for looking. He warns his friend to stay away from the gang and keep a low profile. The scene shifts to classroom 1 to 3, where someone calls out a name. A girl with a bandaged face is jolted awake at her desk. Her friend scolds her for sleeping through class again. She touches her friend's face, telling her to quit boxing before she gets hurt more. The concerned friend is introduced as Yo Jinju. Just then, Kang drags himself into the classroom. As he sits down, Jinju calls out to get his attention. Kang looks over at her, his expression blank and tired. With a slight smirk, she calmly informs him that his fly is open. Kang freezes in place as Jinju stares at him with a deadpan expression. He quickly turns away in embarrassment as another girl tells Jinju to leave. The girl with the bandaged face tells Jinju she smells like cigarettes. She then warns Jinju to stop hanging out with a bad crowd. Jinju dismisses her friend's concern, asking if she's her mother. She then offers a deal. She'll consider it if her friend quits boxing. The boxer girl looks away, calling her friend an idiot under her breath. Meanwhile, Kang frantically fumbles with his pants, drawing her attention. She rests her head on her desk, thinking both of them are idiots. The scene shifts to a bright blue sky filled with soaring seagulls. Far away, a lone boat drifts in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Something suddenly splashes into the water near the vessel. An old fisherman's eye narrows, sensing the disturbance. He turns to look over the side of his boat into the vast ocean. He spots a massive, dark shadow moving just beneath the surface. Leaning over the railing, he stares in disbelief at the strange shape. A flashback begins, showing a large penguin doll on the boat 5 minutes earlier. The fisherman asks his friend about the doll while preparing his nets. His friend explains it's a cheap birthday gift for his daughter, Ruby. He proudly states his daughter's dream is to see penguins in Antarctica. The man confirms he's heading home soon, worried his daughter might forget his face. The fisherman laughs as his friend boasts about how much his daughter can talk now. He grows sentimental, remarking on how quickly children grow up. This makes him realize he hasn't bought his own daughter a gift in a long time. His friend tells him to bring the penguin inside before it gets wet. The scene cuts back to the present as something splashes into the ocean. The fisherman's eye widens, sensing the danger once more. He quickly turns his head, scanning the water's surface. His face fills with alarm as he spots the massive shadow again. Inside the cabin, his friend steers the boat, determined to get home for his daughter. He stares down at a massive, dark shape swirling just beneath the waves. Suddenly, a giant blue dome breaks the surface of the ocean. A monstrous sea creature erupts from the water with a tremendous splash. It slams into the side of the fishing boat, splintering the wooden hull. Inside the cabin, the captain is thrown violently by the impact. He stumbles, calling out to his friend in a panic. A massive, webbed foot crashes through the deck of the ship. The captain's face contorts in terror at the sight. A strange, chameleon-like Inhuman stands over his fallen friend. The scene transitions to Seoyeon High School in Incheon. A teacher discusses the recent frequent appearances of Inhumans. He sketches a crude, toothy monster on the chalkboard. The teacher explains they now live alongside these unpredictable dangers. He introduces himself as Park Chang-sik and announces a lesson on Inhumans. His students are visibly excited about the break from their usual studies. A menacing silhouette with glowing red eyes defines the term Inhuman. A montage shows their incredible strength, capable of destroying a dump truck. He explains they possess blinding speed and an instinct to harm humans. The teacher stresses that their true terror can only be understood firsthand. He cites a UN report of 37 Inhuman appearances in the last 5 years. A world map shows the locations of 517 total deaths caused by them. The boxer girl listens as the teacher reveals Korea has had 6 incidents. With the recent port attack, that number has now risen to 7. He grimly reminds the class of the 14 fatalities from the day before. The teacher then draws a simple figure of the white-cap superhuman. A montage shows the hero facing down different Inhumans across the country. He lists the many rumors about the hero's identity, from cyborg to secret weapon. Circling the drawing, he concludes that the hero is a complete mystery. Kang sleeps at his desk as the teacher explains people find hope in this unknown figure. The teacher then shifts focus to the 2 incidents that occurred before Whitecap appeared. He recalls the 2015 Pohang incident, showing a defeated creature amidst the chaos. At the scene, they found the monster's body, but no one knew who had defeated it. The next year brought the tragic Gangneung incident with immense casualties. This was the first appearance of the undefeated Inhuman, Heptahorn. Named for its 7 horns, it was the first of its kind to survive an encounter. Survivors recalled a large, long-haired man who appeared to fight the beast. But the man suddenly vanished and the creature disappeared into the sky. This unresolved incident was heavily investigated by government officials. They theorized the man was defeated, and the injured monster was in hiding. This led to the creation of the Center for Inhuman Disaster Alert. A special military unit, the Inhuman Subjugation Task Force, was also formed. The teacher circles 3 figures on the board, questioning their connection. He wonders if the long-haired man truly died, and if so, where is the beast that defeated him? He then asks about Whitecap's identity, wondering if he's related to the other 2. But the biggest question, he says, is where the Inhumans came from in the first place. He pauses, looking out at his students for a reaction. He's met with the sight of his entire class fast asleep. Slamming his desk, he wakes them up for one final announcement. He scolds them, reminding them that a student's duty is to learn. He insists the most important thing for them is to care about the world around them. He passionately tells them not to live passively. During these trying times, he urges them to do more than just study or play games. He pleads with them to take more interest in the world. With that, he dismisses the class, his speech finally over. The boxer girl watches him go, a thoughtful expression on her face. Now in his car, the teacher takes a call, saying he left class early. He explains he has to be there for the anniversary of someone's passing. He hangs up the phone, his resolve hardening as he grips the wheel. Tears stream down his face as he admits he has to go see his son. A memory of his child surfaces as the scene shifts to a boat in the Atlantic Ocean. The fisherman stares in horror as the creature stands over his fallen friend. He screams, scrambling back into the cabin to grab the radio. With trembling hands, he frantically mashes the emergency button. He shouts into the radio, desperately trying to give his coordinates. But a powerful blow sends the radio flying from his grasp. The fisherman is struck down before he can finish his call for help. The massive Inhuman looms over him, its victory absolute. It grabs the man's face, its sharp claws digging in. With his last breath, the fisherman pleads for someone to save him. The broken radio crackles to life, an operator's voice asking for the ship's name. The scene shifts to a peaceful day as a beach ball floats through the sky. Nearby, passengers on a luxury cruise ship enjoy a sunny afternoon. People laugh and relax by the pool, unaware of the nearby danger. The massive vessel is revealed to be the SS Opera, a Royal Utopia cruise ship. Inside the ship's bridge, an officer asks for a situation report. A crew member reports they received a distress call from a fishing boat, but it was cut off. They learn the boat is only 10 nautical miles away, a 25-minute trip. The captain immediately orders a course change to mount a quick rescue. Back on the fishing boat, the penguin doll lies discarded on the deck. The man who bought it for his daughter is now motionless on the splintered floor. A lone survivor watches as the cruise ship appears on the horizon. The story returns to Seoyeon High, where Kang complains about being hungry. In the lunch line, a student is told to stop complaining about his diet. He then whines about the lack of cute girls in their class. The 2 students, Woo Chang-ryul and Lee Dae-bang, discuss their class placement. Chang-ryul asks if their luck has to do with the infamous Gun-do gang. Dae-bang explains the gang's leaders are all in the higher-numbered classes. But Chang-ryul points out a smirking student, one of the gang's lackeys. The student, Gi Dweck-gun, is in their class, but Dae-bang warns his friend to stay away. Chang-ryul gives his friend a serious look, a plan forming in his mind. Chang-ryul suggests another student, Kwon-chul, could take on the gang. His friend explains Kwon-chul is strong but avoids fighting unless provoked. A flashback shows Kwon-chul effortlessly defeating a middle school bully. Chang-ryul wishes he'd befriended the quiet fighter sooner. Back in the lunch line, Dae-bang asks for his favorite dish. He nervously asks the lunch lady for a little more food. The kind woman smiles, happy to give her precious kids extra portions. Overcome with emotion, he's kicked forward by his impatient friend. At a nearby table, Kang stuffs his face with his meal. He's startled when someone suddenly sits down across from him. It's Kwon-chul, who asks why Kang is always eating by himself. He then admits he's also alone because he has no friends in their class. Kwon-chul observes that Kang seems to be in the same boat. Kang thinks of his only friend, Ju-ri, feeling a pang of loneliness. The 2 boys sit in a shared, gloomy silence over their lack of friends. Kwon-chul's gaze sharpens as he studies Kang more closely. He notices Kang's powerful hands and athletic build. He asks if Kang plays sports, but Kang awkwardly claims to be self-taught. Kwon-chul suggests they eat together from now on, and Kang agrees. Their meal is interrupted as another student is sent flying past them. The student crashes hard onto the cafeteria floor. The Gundu gang stands over the fallen student, demanding he move faster. Choi Tae-ik's squad cuts the line, warning everyone to stay out of their way. The other students whisper in fear, recognizing the infamous gang. Kang and Kwon Chul silently watch the commotion from their table. Tae-ik announces he's in a bad mood and looking for a fight. He declares he's going to beat up the first 5 people he doesn't like. The scene shifts to a U.S. government office at night. The Secretary of Defense feels helpless, forced to wait for 2 people to arrive. An aide announces their arrival as a door opens with a bright light. 2 new figures are introduced, the formidable St. Pearl and Galen Withrow. An official explains the situation is urgent, calling it an unbelievable worst-case scenario. Pearl's eye narrows as she questions what he means by worst-case scenario. He reveals a cruise ship with 3,000 people has been attacked by an Inhuman at sea. Both superhumans are stunned by the news of an attack in the middle of the ocean. Pearl realizes the passengers are completely trapped, making it a dire situation. The official confirms the clock is ticking, but mentions there's an even bigger concern. Pearl cuts him off, insisting they get the details on the way as they need to leave now. He quickly agrees, directing them to a waiting helicopter. As they leave, the Secretary of Defense simply tells them to come back safe. The team exits the room, leaving the Secretary alone at his desk. The double doors slam shut, sealing the tense atmosphere inside. The Secretary lets out a heavy sigh, unnerved by their powerful presence. He stares at the door, finally understanding the intimidating nature of superhumans. The scene shifts to Nangi in a ruined building under a full moon. Danyang reports that the media is in a frenzy since their encounter with Whitecap. She adds that someone has even put a bounty on them, which Nangi finds hilarious. Danyang questions his decision to appear on a live broadcast, but he dismisses her concern. He leaps across the rubble, stating the situation is now too interesting to ignore. With a smirk, Nangi predicts the world will soon fall into chaos. He considers a newspaper clipping, wondering which side will be more fun to join. Back on the helipad, the official urges the 2 superhumans to board the helicopter. Pearl and Withrow climb into the aircraft without a word. The official buckles his seatbelt, feeling like he's heading to his own funeral. He nervously starts to remind the 2 to buckle their seatbelts. Realizing his mistake, he awkwardly tells them not to bother if they're uncomfortable. The pilot gives the all clear, announcing they are ready for takeoff. As the helicopter lifts off, the official notes this is his first ocean-based Inhuman incident. The aircraft, the fastest in the U.S., soars through the moonlit sky. He points to a map, explaining their target is 500 miles away with a 2-hour flight time. The official begins to explain the dire situation to the 2 superhumans. He reveals an SOS was sent to a Navy base on the coast of Virginia. The message reported an Inhuman attack on the SS Opera, a ship with 3,000 people. It's a massive international resort cruise that travels between the US and the UK. While the damage is unknown, the Navy immediately understood the gravity of the threat. They requested Ms. Pearl's help, but she and her companion were in Scotland. Unable to wait, the government deployed the Navy's underwater demolition team. A total of 5 elite squadrons were dispatched to the cruise ship's location. Pearl asks if the teams are currently engaged in combat with the creature. The official grimly states that within 20 minutes of their arrival, all communication was lost. A fallen soldier's hand clutches a shattered radio amidst the chaos. He concludes that all 5 squads were likely annihilated in under half an hour. The official sweats, admitting there's an even bigger problem to address. The 2 superhumans exchange a serious glance, demanding to know what it is. He explains the ship is on autopilot, heading directly for the coast of Florida. Withrow realizes this means they'll be letting the Inhuman loose on land. The official confirms their fears, his expression grim. He reveals the government has approved fighter jets with nuclear missiles to intercept the ship. Pearl and Withrow are stunned by the government's ruthless decision. The official explains it was deemed the best course of action with unknown survivors. He trembles, admitting they have no idea what's happening on that ship. Pearl looks out the window, sternly telling him to stop shaking. The official nervously stammers an apology, trying to compose himself. As their helicopter flies through a storm, she tells him not to be so pessimistic. With a determined gaze, she declares that she is here now. The scene cuts back to the cafeteria at Seoyeon High School. Tae-ik's menacing eyes scan the terrified students. He announces he's going to beat up 5 people he doesn't like the look of. His first target is the student he already knocked to the floor. Tae-ik grabs the boy's hair, ignoring his desperate apologies. Moo-hee, the girl with the bandaged face, calls out to stop the bullying. She confronts the gang members with a fierce expression. Taeyik challenges her, but Muhi defiantly repeats her demand. Other students in the cafeteria stare in disbelief at her courage. The scene highlights the contrast between Muhi's boldness and the danger she faces. Kang and Kwon Chul silently observe the escalating confrontation. They continue to watch, their expressions unreadable. Muhi stands firm, undeterred by the gang's presence. Her friend Jinju calls out her name in alarm. Taeyik reacts with a smirk, still holding the student he previously struck. He walks towards Muhi, questioning the unusual events of the day. Taeyik warns her he shows no mercy, but Muhi calls him foolish. He raises his hand preparing to strike Muhi. Muhi flinches, bracing herself for the impending impact. Suddenly Kwon Chul intervenes, grabbing Taeyik's raised arm. Kwon Chul holds Taeyik's arm, expressing his displeasure with the situation. A close-up shows intense and focused gaze. Kwon Chul looks at Taeyik, calling him a giant freak. The other gang members are surprised, recognizing Kwon Chul. Chang Ryul and Dae Bang excitedly realize Kwon Chul is about to fight the gang. Taeyik turns, annoyed by Kwon Chul's interference. His eyes narrow, showing his rising anger. Taeyik launches a powerful kick towards Kwon Chul. Kwon Chul swiftly dodges the attack, creating a gust of air. Taeyik is surprised that Kwon Chul managed to evade his strike. Kwon Chul stands ready, challenging Taeyik to continue his taunts. Chang Ryul and Dae Bang cheer loudly, supporting Kwon Chul's stand. Kwon Chul retaliates with a powerful kick of his own. He follows up with a forceful punch, connecting with Taeyik's face. Taeyik's head snaps back from the force of Kwon Chul's punch. The other students in the cafeteria watch the fight in stunned silence. The powerful blow connects squarely with the bully's jaw. Kwon Chul's eyes narrow, his focus entirely on his opponent. The other gang members can't believe what they're seeing. Kwon Chul plants his foot firmly on the ground, ready for the next move. Taeyik stumbles backward, clearly dazed by the unexpected attack. He spits, admitting Kwon Chul is more than just talk. Taeyik cracks his knuckles, promising that the real fight is about to begin. Kwon Chul is surprised his full-powered punch didn't end the fight. A new, imposing figure suddenly appears, asking if they're done. The fighters and onlookers are all startled by the sudden interruption. Another group of gang members arrives, criticizing the lack of table manners. Kwon Chul tells the newcomer to back off, protecting Muhi. The man is introduced as Nam Gyeonho, a leader of the Gundu gang. The other students whisper in fear, recognizing the notorious gang leader. A student explains that Nam Gyeonho is the most ruthless of the three heads. Nam Gyeonho pats Taeyik's back, complaining about his day being ruined. Taeyik glares at Kwon Chul, vowing to get even next time. Nam Gyeonho turns to Kwon Chul, telling him he's crossed a line. Kwon Chul stands his ground, completely unfazed by the threat. With a final chilling promise, Nam Gyeonho turns to leave with his crew. Kwon Chul watches them go, his expression unreadable. Chang Ryul complains about being stuck in the same class as the dangerous gang. He lets out a loud burp, startling the girls at a nearby table. The girls look around, wondering what the strange sound was. The scene shifts to a helicopter flying through a violent thunderstorm at sea. The official nervously announces that they have arrived at their destination. The helicopter hovers over a massive, dark cruise ship in the pouring rain. Inside, Pearl calmly tells the official to open the door. The helicopter door slides open, revealing the raging storm outside. The official explains they will communicate through biometric earpieces. He will act as their coordinator, relaying information on the situation. Without hesitation, Pearl leaps from the helicopter towards the ship below. She orders the official James to contact the higher-ups immediately. With a determined glare, she tells him to call off the nuclear strike. James nervously agrees, promising to make the call as soon as they depart. He gives a shaky salute, wishing the two superhumans the best of luck. Withrow follows Pearl, jumping out into the dark, stormy sky. The two heroes plummet through the rain toward the massive cruise ship. They land on the helipad, which is covered in the aftermath of a brutal attack. The two superhumans exchange a silent, grim look. Pearl surveys the chaos, confirming an Inhuman was definitely responsible. Withrow agrees, noting the creature's overwhelming power before they move out. From the shadows, a massive reptilian eye watches them, reflecting Pearl's image. The chameleon-like Inhuman stands silently amidst the destruction. Back in the helicopter, James pulls up a laptop to brief the heroes. He explains the ship's complex layout will make finding the creature difficult. Pearl wonders aloud if they can lure it out by causing a commotion. James confirms through her earpiece that they'll have to split up to be effective. He suggests they divide their search between the ship's upper and lower levels. A diagram shows their current location and the proposed search paths. The plan is for one to search down while the other searches up, looking for survivors. James voices his concern that this strategy means they might have to fight the Inhuman alone. Pearl declares it can't be helped. She'll take the upper level to find survivors quickly. Withrow agrees, stating he will head to the lower decks. Pearl tells him to alert her the moment he enters combat. She leaps from the helipad, grabbing onto the side of the ship's main structure. With incredible strength, she begins to scale the massive vessel. She creates handholds in the metal hull, climbing the sheer wall with ease. Withrow digs his fingers into the metal, continuing his descent. He hangs from the massive hull, searching for a way inside. Kicking off the wall, he launches himself towards a lower section. He pulls his arms back, preparing to smash through the ship's exterior. The impact shatters the thick metal plating with a powerful blast. Withrow lands inside amidst a cloud of dust and debris. He rises from the jagged hole he created in the floor. His eyes narrow, scanning the dark, unfamiliar surroundings. He finds himself in a massive cargo hold filled with boxes. Over the comms, James confirms his location and asks for a report. Withrow walks through the aisles, stating he sees no one yet. He reports the area seems untouched and decides to look around. James then checks in with Pearl, asking how her search is going. She grimly reports that she has only found bodies so far. Pearl has searched the bridge, control room, and information center. She describes the horrific scene as looking at hell itself. James notes the creature is elusive, but Pearl says his voice is breaking up. He winces as a burst of static hits his earpiece. James worries about the comms malfunctioning so soon into the mission. He theorizes they're in the Bermuda Triangle, making communication difficult. Pearl complains about the static when she hears a faint groan nearby. Her head snaps to the side, alerted by the unexpected sound. A survivor gasps about a monster, and Pearl realizes someone is alive. She kneels down, trying to get the man's attention while reporting her find. But the man has lost his mind, screaming at her in terror. James feels helpless as the comms fail, leaving him unable to assist. Down in the cargo hold, Withrow tries to contact the others. He taps his earpiece, frustrated by the constant static. Suddenly, a voice calls out, "Saint Pearl!" and he turns in surprise. A small girl peeks from behind a shelf, mistaking him for the other hero. The little girl asks if he's here to save them, mistaking him for Pearl. He corrects her before pushing open a door marked with bloody handprints. The doors swing open, revealing a dark, silent hall. Withrow enters the event hall, noting the overwhelming scent of blood. He taps his earpiece in frustration, unable to get a signal. In the distance, he spots a figure that looks exactly like his partner. The figure stands with its back to him amidst the wreckage. Withrow calls out, confused by Pearl's sudden appearance. The figure slowly turns its head to face him. It's Pearl, looking back at him with a cold, empty stare. He asks how she managed to get to the upper levels so quickly. The imposter licks its lips with a sinister expression. Its face suddenly contorts into a monstrous, toothy maw. The creature's eye widens as it lunges forward to attack. It sinks its sharp teeth into Withrow's shoulder with a powerful bite. Withrow stares in shock as the monster's fangs dig into him. He stumbles backward, cursing in pain from the unexpected assault. He grits his teeth, clutching his bleeding shoulder. Withrow looks up in disbelief, realizing the danger he's in. The creature sheds its disguise, revealing its true monstrous form. A powerful blow sends Withrow flying across the room. The impact shatters the floor, creating a massive cloud of dust. He skids to a halt, barely managing to stay on his feet. He admits he was careless, realizing the attack was nearly fatal. Withrow wonders how a mimic could copy Pearl's appearance so perfectly. He's stunned by the creature's incredible power, even with his guard down. His eye widens as he senses another attack from above. A massive fist smashes through a pillar right over his head. The chameleon-like Inhuman reveals its true, terrifying form. The massive blue creature looms over the fallen hero, ready to strike. Withrow deflects a rapid series of blows, his arm bleeding from the assault. He's pushed back across the room, a cloud of dust obscuring the monster. His eye widens in shock, realizing the true power of his opponent. The creature's claws dig into his arm, its grip tightening. Withrow is thrown violently into a pillar, shattering the stone. The Inhuman reveals its grotesque true form, a human face embedded in its chest. He can't believe the creature is a shapeshifter, his mind racing. With a determined grip, he rips off his tattered cloak. The hero stands ready for battle, revealing his arm has been lost in the fight. He drops the ruined fabric to the floor with a stomp. Tearing a strip from the cloth, he prepares a makeshift bandage. He begins to wrap the fabric tightly around his injury. The makeshift tourniquet is secured, stemming the bleeding. Enraged, he demands the creature return what it took from him. The monster lunges forward, continuing its relentless attack. Meanwhile, the helicopter is tossed about in the violent storm. James curses the failing earpiece, but is relieved the radar still works. He notices Withrow's tracker moving erratically, confirming he's in combat. The pilot warns that the storm is intensifying, urging a decision. James orders him to land the helicopter on the ship's deck. Back on the ship, a small hand gently takes Pearl's. A little girl excitedly announces that Saint Pearl is here to save them. Pearl's eyes widen, stunned to find anyone alive. Dozens of survivors peek out from their hiding places, their faces filled with hope. An old man explains they are the survivors from the lower levels. Realizing how many lives are at stake, Pearl knows she must act fast. A man pleads with her, asking her to save everyone on board. In another part of the ship, a wine bottle tips over on a table. It smashes on the carpet, spilling its contents. A massive clawed foot steps down on the broken glass. The room explodes as the two powerhouses trade blows. The massive Inhuman leaps forward, ready to crush its opponent. Withrow braces himself, blocking the creature's powerful strike. The monster's eyes glow red as it presses its relentless attack. He counters with a solid punch, striking the creature's chest. Withrow lands a powerful kick, but the monster barely flinches. He realizes he's being cornered, even with his incredible strength. The creature opens its massive jaws, preparing for a final blow. It grabs Withrow, its grip tightening around him. But the hero flips over his opponent, narrowly escaping its grasp. Withrow lands, annoyed by the creature's surprising durability. He deduces the monster's shape-shifting is useless in a direct fight. Wiping his brow, he takes a moment to catch his breath. He knows he has to end this fight here and now. The Inhuman senses a shift in the hero's energy. Withrow's eye begins to glow with an intense blue light. He turns his attention to a stack of barrels in the corner. Facing his opponent once more, his resolve is absolute. With a burst of speed, he charges across the room. He launches a powerful kick, sending a barrel flying. The barrel shatters, its red contents exploding outward. The liquid splashes through the air in a fine mist. Withrow's glowing eye focuses with incredible intensity. The droplets suddenly transform into sharp, deadly projectiles. The creature watches in confusion as the strange attack approaches. The liquid shards pepper the Inhuman's body with force. Withrow stands confidently, steam rising from his body. His glowing eye narrows, his power now fully unleashed. He spots a bottle of wine on a nearby table. Grabbing the bottle, he prepares to launch another attack. With a powerful grip, he shatters the bottle in his hand. The splashing wine instantly solidifies into a sharp, glowing spear. He grips the makeshift weapon, muttering about his annoying day. Withrow declares he's not in the mood to fool around any longer. Stomping his foot, he prepares to launch his final attack. He hurls the solidified spear with incredible speed and force. A flashback shows two men observing Withrow in an interrogation room. They recall how he single-handedly took down two entire street gangs. One of the men, James, confirms Withrow's incredible feats. Across the table, Pearl acknowledges that he is clearly a superhuman. She asks how he managed to stop his own bleeding in an instant. Their eyes lock, a silent understanding passing between them. Pearl holds up her cup, where the coffee has been turned to solid rock. Withrow admits he can harden liquids, but doesn't know how he does it. He explains his power has a 10-meter range and requires immense focus. Back in the present, the wine spear hurtles towards the Inhuman. In the flashback, Pearl asks if his power is like freezing things. He explains the liquid becomes as hard as a diamond. She realizes this means he can turn any liquid into a weapon. Withrow confirms that with enough force, it's deadlier than a bullet. The spear strikes the monster's chest with devastating impact. The creature roars in agony, stumbling backward from the blow. It swings its massive fist in a desperate counterattack. Withrow dodges under the blow, delivering a powerful kick. The force of his kick shatters the floor beneath them. He grits his teeth, the strain of the fight showing on his face. Catching his breath, his expression is one of pure determination. He realizes his attack missed the vital spot because his balance is off. His eye widens in alarm as the creature begins to change. The Inhuman transforms, revealing a second, more monstrous form as it charges. Withrow narrowly dodges the creature's powerful lunge. He's stunned the monster hasn't slowed down despite its massive injury. Meanwhile, Pearl sprints through a long, empty corridor. She confirms the lower basement levels are clear, deducing the fight is elsewhere. Her eyes narrow as she detects a faint rumble from somewhere above. Suddenly, her earpiece crackles to life with a burst of static. She stops, trying to make out James's broken transmission. Her eyes widen as she pieces together the words "event hall." Pearl immediately dashes off, leaving a shockwave in her wake. Back on deck, James has landed the helicopter in the pouring rain. He watches his laptop, confirming Withrow is still engaged in combat. A bad feeling grows as he realizes the fight is taking too long, urging Pearl to hurry. The scene shifts to the distorted, chaotic view of the event hall. Withrow struggles to his feet, his vision blurry from the intense battle. He runs from the monster, trying to create some distance. He stops to catch his breath, his gaze shifting upward. Withrow spots a fire sprinkler on the ceiling, a new plan forming in his mind. He wonders if he can trigger it with a strong enough impact. Leaping into the air, he aims for the ceiling above. He smashes his fist into the wall right below the sprinkler system. The sprinkler activates, dousing the Inhuman in a shower of water. Withrow's eye begins to glow with an intense, focused light. The water covering the monster instantly solidifies into a thick layer of ice. The creature is frozen solid, its pained expression trapped in the ice. Withrow stands over his immobilized opponent, the battle finally over. The scene flashes back to the interrogation room with James and another official. James asks about the duration of Withrow's strange ability. He speculates that such a powerful ability must have limits. Withrow explains his power is directly connected to his mental fortitude. He reveals the effect lasts for at least an hour before returning to its liquid state. Withrow admits he hasn't struggled this much in ages, blaming his lost arm. His eyes glow as he wonders how to finish the fight. A sudden flash of light streaks through the darkness behind him. Withrow's glowing eye widens in complete surprise. His expression turns to shock as blood splatters across his face. He looks down in disbelief as his body is suddenly separated. His form collapses to the floor, leaving the monster standing over him. Withrow's lifeless eyes stare up from the ground. His last thought is that something was standing behind him. A second identical Inhuman stands over his fallen body, revealing a trap. The helicopter hovers in the storm, its blades cutting through the rain. Inside, James types on his laptop, confident the two heroes will meet soon. A large W appears on his screen, representing Withrow's tracker. The signal suddenly flickers and vanishes into a single point of light. James looks up from his screen, confused by the sudden change. He frantically taps his earpiece, wondering why the radar turned off. The screen confirms that only Mr. Withrow's signal has disappeared. James's eye widens behind his glasses in dawning horror. He recalls the earpieces are tied directly to their vital signs. Staring at the blank screen, he realizes the terrible truth. He clutches his head in panic, refusing to believe what's happened. On the screen, Pearl's tracker, marked P, begins moving rapidly. Pearl plants her foot firmly, preparing to make her entrance. She launches herself forward, kicking down a blood-stained door. The door shatters into splinters as she bursts into the room. The Inhuman turns its head, surprised by her sudden arrival. It sees Pearl standing amidst the wreckage, ready for a fight. Pearl takes in the horrific scene, two Inhumans and her fallen partner. Her eyes narrow with a cold, determined fury. She glares at the two monsters, one of which is still trapped in ice. A flashback begins, showing Pearl and Withrow after a previous battle. Pearl recalls telling him that despite his cold exterior, he's a valued team member. She sits with him on a park bench, explaining how grateful everyone is. Pearl adds that their coordinator, James, was especially happy he joined. Withrow remembers James offering him a ridiculous costume, which he flatly refused. Back on the bench, Pearl warns that Inhumans are unpredictable dangers. She stresses that if one of them were to fall in battle, the other must remain calm and act rationally, unlike a child who trips and falls. Withrow silently considers her words, his expression unreadable. Pearl insists that retreating is a valid strategy, urging him not to act on emotion. She explains that being shaken up makes it harder to fight effectively. Her final point is that the survivor must protect the world no matter what. Withrow's eye glows as he scoffs, calling her words useless. He stands, declaring that if an enemy can beat her, he's not sticking around. Withrow walks away, coldly stating he won't be fazed even if she's defeated. The memory fades as a child's voice echoes his sentiment. A symbolic image shows the child reaching for a frozen fountain as his balloon floats away. Pearl smirks at the memory of his tough guy act. The scene transitions back to the present. Her hair now tied back, she admits to herself that she was spouting nonsense. The second Inhuman breaks free from the ice, roaring in fury. In a flash of light, Pearl unleashes a devastating attack. The room explodes from the force of her initial assault. With glowing eyes and a furious scream, she forgets her own advice about staying cool. The monster's face contorts in shock at her overwhelming power. Her fist connects with the creature's jaw in a brutal blow. She follows up with a powerful kick that sends the monster reeling. The battle ends swiftly as she looks down at the aftermath. Her eye reflects a deep sorrow, her mission now one of vengeance. Pearl stands over the fallen creature, her gaze fixed on her defeated partner. She looks down at her fallen partner, her expression unreadable. Pearl kneels, reaching for her fallen comrade. The defeated Inhuman lies motionless on the floor behind her. But a sudden attack from the creature strikes her from the side. The monster's eyes widen as it lands a surprising blow. The sharp limb pierces through her shoulder. Her hand falls limp from the shock of the injury. Ignoring the pain, she gently closes her partner's eyes for the last time. Pearl rises, wounded but resolute, standing over her friend's body. Her suit changes color as she unleashes her full power. The wounded Inhuman stares back, sensing the shift in her energy. It launches itself forward in a desperate final assault. Pearl catches its attacking limb with ease. Her grip tightens, crushing the monster's arm with a cold glare. She swings the massive creature through the air. The Inhuman is hurled across the room with devastating force. The impact sends tables and chairs flying into the air. The monster crashes into the far wall, shattering the concrete. Pearl walks through the destruction, calling this the worst day of her life. She grabs one of the creature's mangled limbs. Covered in wounds, she declares she'll now fight on its terms. Her eyes glow yellow as she promises the monster an end it can't imagine. She walks towards the cowering creature, leaving a trail of broken parts. The Inhuman digs its claws into the wall, trying to retreat. It lets out a final desperate roar of defiance. The monster pushes off the wall, lunging at her one last time. It swings a bladed arm in a wide, sweeping arc. Pearl braces herself, ready to end the fight for good. She connects with a final powerful punch to the creature's head. The blow lands with explosive force, ending the battle decisively. The monster's head reels back from the devastating impact. Pearl's glowing fist connects with incredible force. Her follow-up punch distorts the creature's entire face. The Inhuman is sent flying backward from the relentless assault. Her knuckles glow, charged with immense power. She dashes forward, a blur of motion continuing her attack. The creature is thrown across the room like a rag doll. It crashes through a pillar which explodes on impact. Debris rains down, showing the scale of the destruction. Pearl vows to make this a living hell for the monster. She coldly tells the defeated creature to get up for the final blow. The Inhuman lies motionless in a heap on the floor. Back in a government bunker, officials argue about the lack of contact. One suggests weather interference is blocking their communications. An aide insists on sending surveillance, but another official dismisses the idea. The president slams his hand down, demanding they quiet down. An official reminds him that Pearl's team asked to cancel the strike order. He pleads with the president to call back the fighter jets. A cold voice from the side of the room says, "Not quite." The president and his aide turn in surprise at the interruption. A man in a mask criticizes the aide for his relaxed attitude. The president recognizes the man, calling him Marcus. Marcus states the president has already made his decision. The nuclear launch sequence is shown, ready and waiting for the order. U.S. Senator Gerald Marcus demands the president give the strike order now. The president sweats, arguing that Pearl and Withrow have never failed. Marcus sarcastically asks if they're being briefed on a successful mission. He reminds them that all previous teams, and now James, have gone silent. The senator coldly states there is no such thing as eternal peace. He asks the president if he's prepared to take responsibility for failure. Marcus challenges the president, asking if anyone else can handle the situation. An official erupts, questioning the morality of launching a missile at 3,000 people. Marcus calmly asks his aide for the ship's ETA, who reports it's under 90 minutes. He uses the short time frame to pressure them, citing the millions of lives at risk in Florida. The official fires back, accusing Marcus of guessing just like the rest of them. Marcus coldly insists that minimizing risk is the only logical course of action. The official slams his fists on the table, enraged by the senator's words. A powerful voice suddenly yells for them to stop the argument. The president glares at both men, silencing the room with his authority. He makes his final decision, declaring he will cancel the strike order on the SS Opera. Marcus scowls in disapproval while the other officials look on in disbelief. The president's aide praises the decision as his leader thinks of Pearl. The scene shifts to a rainy day as a car approaches a lone figure. The president, under an umbrella, explains he came to thank Pearl in person. He corrects himself, saying he came to thank her and her entire team. Standing in the rain, Pearl listens as he admits he keeps piling on debts. She turns to face him, her expression weary from a previous battle. Pearl looks away, asking what kind of debt he could possibly owe her. She states that one can't put a price on saving people's lives. Suddenly, she lets out a sharp cry of pain. Back in the present, Pearl is suddenly ensnared by thick, sticky webs. She struggles but finds herself completely immobilized. The defeated Inhuman reveals its true, insect-like form, the source of the trap. Pearl realizes the creature is still fighting, even on the verge of collapse. Sharp, crystal-like shards begin to fall from the ceiling. The first Inhuman emerges from the shadows, revealing the entire fight was a setup. A massive, toothy maw appears right behind the trapped hero. The monster bites down hard on Pearl's shoulder. She is caught firmly in the creature's powerful jaws. Pearl glares defiantly as the monster's grip tightens around her. Her eyes glow with a new understanding, realizing the nature of the trap. She sees the webs were a complex prison, not just a simple snare. Pearl realizes Withrow had already trapped one of the creatures. With a single punch, she sends the second Inhuman crashing into a wall. The insect-like creature lies defeated, its plan completely foiled. She understands her partner had imprisoned the mutant to protect her. Pearl thinks of Withrow's disagreeable personality as she approaches the fallen monster. She tells the creature to beg her friend for forgiveness when they meet in the afterlife. A blinding beam of light erupts from her eyes, full of raw power. The energy beam strikes the creature, ending the fight in a brilliant flash. Outside, the storm rages around the massive, damaged cruise ship. A powerful blast of light bursts through the side of the vessel. The beam tears through the ship's hull, sending debris flying. It shoots out across the dark ocean, a beacon in the stormy night. The shockwave violently shakes the helicopter, throwing James and the pilot. James frantically orders the pilot to open the doors, needing to see what happened. Pearl stands alone amidst the destruction, her expression weary. She faces the massive, glowing hole she blasted through the ship's wall. James stumbles out of the helicopter, his face pale with shock. He stares in disbelief at the gaping hole in the side of the cruise ship. A lone figure emerges from the blinding light within the wreckage. Pearl walks out onto the deck, her mission finally over. She removes her earpiece, her gaze fixed on the stunned official. The hero approaches James, who stands frozen on the rain-slicked helipad. They stand face to face, the silence heavy with unspoken grief. As Pearl speaks, James's composure finally breaks. He collapses to his knees, overwhelmed by the loss of his friend. Pearl watches silently as James weeps on the deck. His face is a mask of pure anguish and sorrow. The scene shifts to a secure underground government bunker. An official receives a call, his face a mask of shock and disbelief. He slams the phone down, the force of the news rattling the room. The man bursts through the doors of the command center, desperate to deliver his message. He stumbles into the tense meeting, gasping for breath as all eyes turn to him. He reports that Pearl has secured the ship and saved all the survivors. The president stares in stunned relief while Senator Marcus remains stone-faced. The entire room erupts into a massive cheer, celebrating the mission's success. While the president slumps in relief, Marcus watches the celebration with a cold glare. The official finally breathes a sigh of relief as the president and Marcus exchange a tense look. A pink-haired man with a cold stare suddenly appears, silencing the official. The mood in the room shifts again as the president and Marcus face this new development. The celebration dies down, replaced by a somber and uncertain atmosphere. A news broadcast confirms the SS Opera has safely docked in Florida. The scene shifts to a young man happily eating a large bowl of noodles. He watches the news report while stuffing his face, seemingly unconcerned. In the bathroom, a pink-haired man scrolls through his phone with an annoyed expression. He grumbles to himself, angry that someone didn't follow his instructions. He yells for his friend Lim Kang as the news offers condolences for a fallen hero. Lim Kang is startled by the shouting, innocently asking if he needs toilet paper. From behind the door, the man angrily reminds him he was told to wait. Lim Kang's playful expression fades, replaced by a look of serious concern. He suddenly panics, realizing he's eaten all the ramen and needs to make more. The pink-haired man storms out, furious that his food is gone and vowing to teach him a lesson. His eye narrows with rage, ready for a confrontation. He stops short, noticing Lim Kang is staring intently at the television. The news is reporting the death of the superhuman Galen Withrow. The broadcast details Withrow's heroic career and his partnership with Pearl. The pink-haired man is stunned by the news, realizing even a superhuman can fall. Lim Kang quietly gets up with his empty bowl, the tragic news still playing. The two friends argue about making more ramen, the gravity of the news hanging over them. On a rooftop, a man tells his companion that superhumans aren't invincible. He speculates that Pearl and Withrow must have fought their battles separately. His companion wonders if St. Pearl is truly as powerful as people say. The man reveals he once encountered her during one of her fights. In a flashback, he recalls watching her battle before she let him go despite her suspicion. He reflects on her strange decision, wondering what kind of person she is. He tells his friend that if Pearl had attacked him then, they never would have met. He walks away, leaving his companion to ponder his words. The hooded figure admits that even if he's lying, St. Pearl is still terrifying. The man laughs off the accusation, but his friend knows it's just another lie. The scene shifts to a car speeding down a Florida highway as a man makes a frantic call. It's James, desperately trying to reach someone named Ben. A groggy Ben answers, surprised to hear from James on an unknown number. James explains it's a burner phone, his voice tense with urgency. He delivers the shocking news. Mr. Withrow's body has vanished. Ben sits bolt upright in bed, demanding to know how this could have happened. James informs him that Withrow's funeral has been canceled as the situation grows more complex. He asks Ben to investigate the SS Opera before a briefing the next day. Ben agrees, asking what he needs to look for on the cruise ship. After receiving the details, Ben promises to handle it and meet him in D.C. Both men are enraged that someone would disrespect a fallen hero in such a way. Elsewhere, the pink-haired man sighs, walking alone down a quiet street. He mutters in frustration, unable to get in contact with someone important to him. A flashback shows a woman telling him to keep in touch via email. She explains she's returning to America and will send him money to live on. But she also advises him not to waste it and to get a part-time job. Back in the present, he grumbles about being broke, blaming his friend's appetite. He stares at his phone, worried that his sister isn't replying to his emails. With new resolve, he decides it's time to become independent and earn his own money. His eye narrows with determination, ready to face the challenge. A man with pink hair spots a flyer on a telephone pole. The poster advertises an arm wrestling tournament with a massive cash prize. He stares at the flyer, a plan beginning to form in his mind. Turning away, he pulls out his phone and makes a call. A sweaty young man answers, looking flustered and out of breath. The pink-haired man teases his friend for being active instead of sleeping. The friend is on a basketball court, being hassled by his classmates. His friends demand money from him, complaining about his and Lim Kang's appetites. The pink-haired man smiles, glad his friend is fitting in, and rips the flyer from the pole. He tells his friend they have plans for Sunday, postponing their dinner. The scene shifts to a briefing room in D.C. for the SS Opera incident. An official reports over 150 casualties from the isolated cruise ship. He explains the damage was contained to the upper decks, preventing further losses. This was thanks to the efforts of special forces who engaged the creatures. The intense battle on the deck successfully drew the Inhumans' attention. This distraction allowed the passengers to flee to safety on the lower levels. The official somberly states that though the soldiers fell, their sacrifice was not in vain. Pearl and another man listen to the report with grim expressions. The briefing then turns to the nature of the Inhumans on board. He reveals the greatest miscalculation was facing 2 Inhumans instead of 1. The official adjusts his glasses, preparing to read from Pearl's report. But Pearl interrupts, deciding to give her own account of the events. The official looks startled by her sudden interjection. She begins by describing the first creature as a spider-type Inhuman. Pearl recounts its ability to shoot webs and attack with sharp limbs. She concludes that this spider-type delivered the final blow to Withrow. However, she notes it wasn't strong or fast enough to beat him in a fair fight. Pearl theorizes Withrow was ambushed after being exhausted by the other monster. She then describes the second creature as a chameleon type that could mimic appearances. Pearl recalls it was trying to copy Withrow's form even as it attacked her. She hypothesizes that Withrow was ambushed due to the creature's shape-shifting ability. Ben clutches his head in frustration, finding the details of the fight painful to hear. An official notes that this incident supports a long-standing theory about Inhumans. He explains that Inhumans are monsters possessing traits from various organisms. The SS Opera incident, however, raises new questions like why 2 were in the same place. He then reveals the biggest problem of all, the disappearance of Mr. Withrow's body. Pearl confirms the grim news with a steely gaze. The official clarifies that only Withrow's body vanished, while all others were left untouched. He deduces the body was taken before the government team arrived at the ship. Ben sarcastically lists impossible scenarios for how the body could have disappeared. Since none of those make sense, the official turns to the most likely explanation. Pearl concludes that someone on board must have stolen the body. The official confirms it vanished without a trace, leaving them with no leads. He turns to Ben, asking about a request he made earlier. Ben reports that he's requested a data recovery of all the ship's CCTV footage. He expects to find clues in the footage of the event hall where Withrow fell. The three of them share a determined look, vowing to find the culprit. The scene shifts to a computer screen advertising the Alley Cup arm wrestling tournament. In an internet cafe, a group of men stare at the massive prize money on offer. One man complains about lame tournaments full of weak opponents. He admits, however, that the prize money is too tempting to pass up. With a new plan, he orders his men to assemble the entire Gundu gang. Two competitors strain against each other in a heated match. The announcer explains that a massive turnout requires a faster preliminary round. The final 16 survivors will be randomly matched for the main tournament. He details the huge cash prizes, with the winner taking home a massive sum. The pink-haired man from before looks nervously at the massive crowd. His friend clutches his stomach, wondering if his anxiety is getting to him. The pink-haired man checks his phone, worried they won't make it in time. A flashback begins, showing the pink-haired man's determined gaze. He explains to Lim Kang that seeing a celebrity is just as important as the tournament. A news report confirms the Hollywood star Ketchup Man is visiting Korea. Lim Kang admits he doesn't care about the tournament, but his friend insists it's vital. The pink-haired man lays out their schedule, starting with the 9 a.m. preliminaries. He details their plan to win the prize money and rush to the airport by 5 o'clock. Lim Kang asks about autographs, but his friend says only the prepared will succeed. He reveals matching fan shirts to get the celebrity's attention, which Lim Kang calls genius. The pink-haired man smiles, confident their busy day will be a success. Back in the present, an announcer calls for contestant number 82. The pink-haired man realizes his friend Lim Kang is the missing contestant. He kicks Lim Kang, urging him to get moving before he's disqualified. As Lim Kang runs off, his friend worries that everything about him is a liability. Lim Kang turns back with a confused expression. His friend yells encouragement, telling him to remember his training. A flashback shows him training Lim Kang to control his strength and act like he's struggling. Lim Kang remembers he must hide his superhuman abilities to avoid suspicion. His attention is suddenly drawn to his first opponent. A massive man complains about being matched with such a small competitor. The man taunts Lim Kang, telling him to be careful with his wrist. The announcer calls for the preliminary match to begin. The two competitors lock hands, preparing for the match. Lim Kang focuses on controlling his power as his opponent feels his grip and gets serious. The match begins, and the large man puts all his weight into the push. The man's face contorts as he realizes he's about to lose. With a sudden burst of power, Lim Kang slams his opponent's arm down. The force of the impact shatters the surface of the arm wrestling table. Lim Kang looks on as his defeated opponent cries out. The stunned referee declares number 82 the winner of the match. The crowd murmurs in confusion, wondering about the loud noise and gust of wind. Lim Kang's friend adjusts his sunglasses, his eyes wide with shock at the display of power. Back in the briefing room, Pearl identifies the first creature as a spider-type Inhuman. She details its attacks, including shooting webs and using sharp, knife-like tentacles. Pearl concludes the spider-type delivered the final blow to her fallen partner. She recalls that while strong, it wasn't powerful enough to defeat Withrow in a fair fight. Her theory is that Withrow was ambushed after being exhausted by the other monster. Pearl then describes the second creature as a chameleon type with shape-shifting abilities. She remembers it was attempting to copy Withrow's form even as it attacked her. This leads her to believe Withrow was likely tricked by its shape-shifting. Ben clutches his head, finding the details of the fight unbearable to hear. An official stands, stating the incident supports a long-standing theory about Inhumans. He explains that Inhumans are monsters possessing traits from various organisms. The official notes the SS Opera incident raises new questions like why two were in the same place. He then reveals the biggest problem of all, the disappearance of Mr. Withrow's body. Pearl grimly confirms the news with a single word. The official clarifies that only Withrow's body vanished, while all others were left untouched. He deduces the body was taken before the government team arrived at the ship. Ben sarcastically lists impossible scenarios for how the body could have disappeared. The official dismisses those ideas, turning to the most likely explanation. Pearl concludes that someone on board must have stolen the body. The official confirms it vanished without a trace, leaving them with no leads. He turns to Ben, asking about a request he made earlier. Back at the tournament, the announcer introduces a cocky high schooler named Nam Gyeonho. His opponent, Choi Tae-ik, looks furious about the matchup. The crowd buzzes with excitement over the apparent rivalry. The announcer calls for contestant number 14, but he's nowhere to be found. His opponent, a man with long dark hair, waits patiently. The announcer introduces the waiting man as number 127, Park Gyeonho. The announcer rushes through the remaining matches, citing time constraints. The final tournament bracket is revealed, showing a surprising number of high schoolers have advanced. The announcer declares the start of the knockout stage, showing the faces of the finalists. Meanwhile, an airplane soars through the sky as a passenger complains about a lingering cold. Inside, the actor Matt Dion complains to his manager about his uncomfortable superhero costume. His manager, Rose, reminds him of his contract and the fans waiting for him. Dion dramatically agrees, vowing to appear for his adoring fans as Ketchup Man. Rose tells him to drop the act, so Dion decides to get some more rest. The plane continues its long journey high above the clouds. Back at the tournament, two opponents lock hands, ready to begin their match. Choi Tae-ik faces off against Nam Gyeonho, who taunts him from across the table. Choi Tae-ik warns him not to put up a fight, as they've already decided the outcome. But Nam Gyeonho smirks, suggesting he should be the one to advance. He challenges his friend's authority, claiming he's always been the stronger of the two. An onlooker realizes Radish Head is planning to fight seriously against his own teammate. He explains that taking off his glasses is a sign that he's ready for a real battle. Another friend reveals the truth. He's just insecure about his gentle-looking eyes. A close-up reveals Nam Gyeonho's surprisingly kind eyes. Choi Tae-ik sees his opponent's resolve, realizing their friendship is on the line. The referee prepares to start the highly anticipated match. With a shout of "Fight!" the two powerhouses begin their intense struggle. In another match, a monk-like competitor stares intently at his opponent. He tells Lim Kang that he can sense a great power hidden within him. The monk claims they both possess unimaginable strength. Rolling up his sleeve, he challenges Lim Kang to show him his true power. The monk gestures for the match to begin, eager for a real fight. Lim Kang looks on, surprised that his secret has been discovered. Elsewhere, a shocking upset occurs as a student defeats a world-ranking champion. The defeated favorite stares in disbelief, muttering that his opponent can't be human. The winner's master and his followers cheer him on, certain of his victory. The enthusiastic followers make heart signs to show their unwavering support. The announcer shifts focus back to the tense showdown between Choi Tae-ik and Nam Gyeonho. Nam Gyeonho grits his teeth, telling his opponent to give up. But Choi Tae-ik roars in victory, slamming his friend's arm down. The announcer declares Choi Tae-ik the winner as he taunts his defeated friend. In the next match, the monk and Lim Kang lock hands, both sweating with anticipation. The monk strains with all his might, shocked that his opponent isn't budging an inch. He suddenly senses an overwhelming, shadowy power emanating from Lim Kang. Lim Kang effortlessly wins the match, leaving the monk and his followers stunned. Wiping his brow, Lim Kang pretends the match was a struggle as he's declared the winner. The announcer moves on, noting that Park Gyeonho's opponent is still missing. As a result, the judges have disqualified contestant number 14. Park Gyeonho moves on to the next round by default, a slight smirk on his face. A text message reveals the truth. His men took care of contestant 14 for him. Gyeonho's smirk widens, his plan having worked perfectly. He walks through the venue and spots his two underlings, Choi Tae-ik and Nam Gyeonho. The two men turn, their expressions turning to shock as they see their leader. Without a word, Gyeonho delivers a swift strike to Nam Gyeonho. He then turns his attention to Choi Tae-ik, pointing a finger in his face. Gyeonho follows up with another powerful blow, striking Choi Tae-ik. He stands over his two men, who are now bowing on the floor in submission. Other contestants watch the sudden confrontation with confused expressions. Gyeonho looks down on his defeated underlings with disappointment. He scolds them, asking if they think their pathetic display is a real fight. His cold glare shows his utter disgust with their performance. Gyeonho turns and walks away as the announcer calls out to him. The announcer warns him that leaving the stage will result in a forfeit. Both the announcer and Lim Kang are baffled by the strange turn of events. The tournament proceeds, with the bracket showing the semi-final matchups. The next match begins, Choi Tae-ik versus Lim Kang. In the crowd, a student recognizes Lim Kang from his school. A group of bullies gossip about Lim Kang's surprising success and Gundu's sudden departure. Choi Tae-ik warns his opponent that he's in a terrible mood today. He threatens Lim Kang, telling him to lose quickly without a fight. The referee shouts, "Fight!" as the two competitors lock hands. Choi Tae-ik is stunned, realizing Lim Kang is actually resisting him. Lim Kang struggles to control his immense strength, remembering his training. With a sudden twist, Choi Tae-ik cries out in agony from the unexpected force. Lim Kang looks over in surprise, realizing he wasn't paying attention. The announcer reports that Choi Tae-ik has collapsed from a sudden injury. Lim Kang is declared the winner, advancing to the finals as he feigns injury. The announcer hypes up the crowd after a long and grueling tournament. It's finally time for the long-awaited final match of the Alley Cup. Lim Kang nervously faces his final opponent, a large, intimidating man. The scene suddenly shifts to the Incheon airport tarmac. A massive, monstrous foot smashes into the ground, shattering the concrete. A giant blue Inhuman lets out a low growl, its presence terrifying. Back at the tournament, the pink-haired man wipes his brow, proud of his friend. He watches as Lim Kang celebrates his victory in the distance. His attention shifts to the other finalist and his cheering followers. The pink-haired man scoffs at the over-the-top display of support. The announcer declares that the final match is about to begin. The opponent introduces himself as Lee Moon-gu, a martial arts instructor. He wishes Lim Kang a good match, who nervously agrees. Their hands finally meet as the announcer builds the unbearable tension. The referee holds their locked hands, ready to start the final showdown. The two finalists stare each other down, their focus absolute. As the match begins, the pink-haired man anxiously reminds Lim Kang to act his part. In the crowd, the monk and his followers pray for their master's victory. With a shout of "Fight!" the final arm wrestling match begins. The two powerhouses strain against each other, their strength shaking the stadium. Elsewhere in the crowd, a group of thugs plot to take the prize money from the winner. Lee Moon-gu's master and followers cheer him on from the sidelines. The two finalists' hands are locked in a sweaty, intense grip. A close-up reveals Lee Moon-gu's eye, filled with sheer determination. He grits his teeth, realizing this is no longer just a simple match. An elephant appears, symbolizing the immense pressure he's enduring. A symbolic image shows a figure being crushed by a massive fist. The two competitors are locked in a dead-even struggle across the table. Lim Kang lets out a convincing shout, pretending to struggle against the pressure. With a final calculated push, Lim Kang slams his opponent's arm down. The pink-haired man celebrates the natural-looking win, while Lee Moon-gu curses his defeat. The referee raises Lim Kang's hand in victory. The announcer declares number 82, Lim Kang, the winner of the tournament. He congratulates the new champion, asking about his plans for the prize money. Lim Kang nervously admits he hasn't thought about it yet. The announcer mentions the world's recent troubles and suggests donating to a good cause. Lim Kang thoughtfully repeats the words, "helping the unfortunate." The announcer points to a charity booth, explaining how people are helping each other. The booth's volunteers hold signs, asking for donations to help children. Lim Kang looks over at the charity booth, his expression unreadable. He suddenly announces his desire to donate, shocking the announcer. The announcer praises his generous spirit, calling him a true champion. He asks if Lim Kang will donate the entire prize, and he agrees without hesitation. In the crowd, the pink-haired man sweats profusely, fuming over the lost money. Elsewhere, Lee Moon-gu apologizes to his master for failing to win. His master tells him to stop crying, reminding him of his loss. He scolds his student, saying a martial artist should never show tears. Lee Moon-gu looks up, noticing his master is also crying. The two friends, trophy in hand, prepare to head to the airport. The announcer watches them, a serious expression on his face. The thugs from before spot the pink-haired man, ready to make their move. The thugs from the crowd suddenly block the two friends' path. Their leader issues a harsh threat, promising to see one of them at school. The pink-haired man realizes with a start that these are his friend's classmates. He steps forward angrily, ready to defend his friend from the bullies. But a new voice interrupts, as Lee Moon-gu approaches them with a grin. He compliments Lim Kang on their excellent match, admitting his arm is still numb. Lee Moon-gu offers his business card, inviting Lim Kang to his martial arts academy. Lim Kang politely accepts the offer, though his friend seems unimpressed. As the martial artists leave, their master's gaze lingers on Lim Kang. The old master approaches, admiring the tournament trophy. The pink-haired man reluctantly hands it over, warning him to be careful. His eye narrows, sensing something is not quite right. In a flash, the old man and the trophy have vanished completely. The pink-haired man clutches his chest, stunned by the sudden disappearance. Lim Kang's expression turns serious as he pushes his friend back. The master reappears behind them, complimenting Lim Kang's sharp instincts. His eyes glow as he reveals his true identity, Oh Bang-won, founder of the academy. Lim Kang's eyes widen, recognizing the immense power before him. Oh Bang-won tells him to seek him out on Yongpo Mountain for answers. The master disappears once more, leaving the two friends in stunned silence. The scene shifts to the bright, sunny tarmac of Incheon Airport. A massive Bluefoot suddenly smashes into the runway, shattering the concrete. A giant, monstrous Inhuman stands over the wreckage, letting out a low growl. The creature throws its head back and unleashes a terrifying roar. From above, the scale of the monster on the runway is truly immense. Inside the terminal, the arrivals board shows Ketchup Man's flight is landing soon. The two friends arrive, still trying to process their encounter with the mysterious master. The pink-haired man grumbles about their lost trophy as they wait for the celebrity. Suddenly, a loud siren blares through the airport, catching them by surprise. An emergency broadcast announces an Inhuman has been spotted on the runway. The broadcast urges everyone to find shelter as the two friends exchange a worried glance. On the runway, the massive Inhuman watches as a plane descends for landing. The aircraft carrying the celebrity hurtles towards the dangerous creature. The monster looks up at the approaching plane, a low growl rumbling in its chest. It crouches low to the ground, unleashing a powerful and terrifying roar.